Hello, everyone. This is Psychic Underlord from psychicunderlord.com and also our YouTube page, psychicunderlord.net. Want to give you a nice video. It seems like I haven't been able to record any beautiful videos for you during the daytime, even though the was fresh, the sun was out, the sky was beautiful. I figured it would be perfect, but not so. I have to do these videos here in the dark of night. And I'm here out in the backyard again, bringing you another occult video that is a very serious video. It's actually um, one of the things that people don't discuss, or that they're not aware of, or that they don't have any kind of history with. Um, we have all the other videos that you can browse, but this one speaks about the initiation into ascension, the dynamic spiritual initiation, and the shedding of the identity and the becoming the new person, the new entity that no one knows. Uh, let's just talk about unconditional love. I think that it's perfect. See that there, one hand washes the other in the spirit realm. We know that there are only two sides, and we traverse back and forth beneath the power of the Creator. And one thing that I've spoken of in my videos is that we don't ascend into the Creator. That doesn't happen. The only way that people ascend beyond the veil, beyond the matrix, beyond the destiny control matrix, is by death. Life. Why would we want to ascend out of something that has been given to us as a divine gift from the Creator for our use? And this is from a person who confronts all the way to there is nothing. If there is another side, I confront it. When you ascend beyond the fear of death, when you ascend beyond the fear of what tomorrow brings, and when you have no material possessions that are so precious that your life is worth preserving to be able to manipulate and to use all of these creature comforts of life, when you ascend beyond that, it's a safest place for me because I couldn't imagine not confronting something that is there, and perhaps with my level of knowledge, missing it and having to come back to it again, only to face it forward. There is no running in this realm, there is no escaping the hand of the Creator. This is the finest experience that you could ever imagine. And as we ascend higher and higher to be able to realize that we're actually feeling and experiencing these things, we've given up so much that by the time we end up receiving the pleasures and the glories of this world and what He has made, it's not in a spirit of wanting to hold it and to keep it for our own. It is in a spirit of reverence and humility, and we walk on and we move on from the yacht. We move on from the private jet. We move on from the finest uh, condominiums and penthouse suites. We move on from the finest dinners. These are not things meant to hold. These are a part of our experience as we move through the destiny control matrix. Unconditional love is a gateway, and this is the blessing that we should all be aware of, because we have been blessed by the fact that unconditional love was brought into our life through the New Age, through the occult system. It is confrontation, it is unconscious confrontation to participate in a concept of unconditional love with people with things, with the world, with the earth, with the spirit, and become just as a hippie, like a flower girl. You're picking up all these things and saying, I've got to respond in unconditional love. And then at some point, when the confrontation hits, it hits a wall. And that is where, in the New Age movement, where people notice, they said the things that we were working on 2005, 2006, 2007, all the way up, these were things that we felt like were working, but now they're not working. Machinations, concepts, things start to fall apart. People started putting together classes and trainings and seminars, and they were so discombobulated. People said, well, the things that did work that we thought were part of the ascension are no longer working. But the one thing that came down at the bottom of the rabbit hole was that unconditional love sitting there like a piece of paper, like a note that was left behind. Don't forget your unconditional love. Don't forget your unconditional love. And that continued, and people continue to this day in 2024 to believe that that is the answer. And guess what? It is. It is the answer. Because unconditional love is confrontation. So now you've unconditionally loved everything you could possibly love. What else can I love? Well, now you're due for someone to come into your life. Unconditional love of everything. Of everything? Yeah, everything leads to initiation. So that is the rocket's red blare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was stood there. That is it. Unconditional love leads the individual sincerely and truthfully in the seeker, the heart of the pure heart of a seeker. It leads them to initiation. Now, I'm on the other side of this thing because I don't talk about unconditional love. I'm talking about the fruits of the Spirit, the harvest season, the Jubilee season that has come. Controlled opposition will be there at the bottom of the rabbit hole in this great cosmic warfare for your soul, for your service, for the concept of how you will live and how you will walk through this realm and who you will impact and what you will do. Controlled opposition is going to be right there. Guess what? Guess what they're in war against? The creator. So the two forces cathartically take your life and use you like a wet mop. Talk about scared. Talk about a life that is and a mentality that's run ragged out of the stress and the fear of wondering, am I doing this right? Because the unconditional love has seems like it has destroyed my life. And many people, that's exactly where they either they say I can't turn back, or they disappear out into the wilderness somewhere. They're gone. But they're in some kind of initiation, or they switch sides on some kind of concept and say, I don't want the unconditional love, but I do want to meditate with the Dalai Lama. And you see that kind of thing. Or you say, you see people and say, hey, I know that they have some kind of uh, level of consciousness, but they don't show it anymore. And they've kind of switched sides. They're afraid of this thing. To rise into the initiation, you must surrender everything. And it comes by your own willing participation. Whatever you've been asking in your mind about what direction to take in your life, all the questions that you had in your life that have led you to, firstly, to the unconditional love, and all the proof and all the beauty and all of the beautiful aspects, the visuals, and all these things that have brought you and said, this is the way for me. Those things are real, and they were real, and they will be real for others that are coming through this pipeline down this rabbit hole. You surrender everything, and it's your own free will because you know that you've already explored the darkness. You say that the darkness is not for me. There's nothing wrong with that. So you must not fear losing people or things. You have to let go of aspects, physical aspects. You start to understand that the physical is connected to the spiritual. So if you clog up, you probably are already familiar with things like decluttering, getting rid of things. It's just that simple. We're not looking for something, some kind of amazing, miraculous thing. It comes through the simplicity of surrendering your life to the destiny control matrix and the power thereof. Okay, you must not fear losing. Ego is merely a tool for your assignment. So any ego that you have left, which there will be a lot of ego already in you, and that's where all the fight is coming from. And that fight can continue for years in initiation as you cross over. You say, I'm crossing over, I feel more secure, but you're still crying, but you're still resistant. You're still confused. You're still uh, not having all the resources and things that you want to have them met. You're still being denied, and you're asking, "See, this couldn't be right for me not to take a shower. This couldn't be right for me to live like this in a place with no heat. This could not be right for me to live in a place without a refrigerator. I have a shelter, but I don't have a refrigerator." Or to be in a situation where you have a car, but it's not a good car. And then you want to get a job, but you don't want to get a job. And then the jobs that you get, it's kind of like not any kind of good deal for you. It's going to help you. It's not really going to help you. So the ego will still be there giving you these judgments. Maybe the ego is saying, at that point, you in the initiation, you may not even know what is ego as far as your flesh and what is actually divine spirit that is leading you. But it all blends together in this powerful combustive experience to break you down to size for years. For years, you may sit in the situation and say, to the point by the time you get out of the basic initiation and your life starts to turn around, you're saying to yourself, I really don't want anything. Only thing I want is what is right, and I'm willing to wait for whatever that will be. So it's a tool for your assignment. You may be assigned and told and instructed to do things that your so-called spiritual self wouldn't want to do. So you can't really decipher. You just have to take in, here's a shortcut. Take in everything, whether you think it's right or you think it's wrong, and let the destiny control matrix correct you. Let the destiny control matrix redirect your whole life. And it will be the sweetest outcome that you could possibly imagine. The journey of identity may lead to confrontation. So if you're still on this whole identity thing, like where do I fit in? I don't feel like I'm a new ager anymore because I don't dress like them anymore. I'm still not one of the Sunday afternoon football fans or baseball fans where we all wear our jerseys and walk around the town. I'm not one of them, and am I? You could be. You could be instructed to buy a jersey and walk down the freaking street with these people for the sake of confrontation. So you're confronting these things so that there's no taste for them. There's no taste for me to only dwell among the finest restaurants in town or to be with the most successful people, making wheeling and dealing, that desire is not there. So the journey of identity and shedding that, but realizing that ego may be called and utilized for you to go out there and act like a new ager two or three more times, or 10 more times, or 20 more times, or two more times. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Some people are on a path, but it's not confrontation. So what you're looking at is you're saying, "Oh, well, I'm going through this," and then after a while, you forget that you're like on this path, but then you think everybody else is in some way, and then some people might give you signs. You might say, "Oh, they look like they might be doing the same thing I'm doing." That may or may not be true. So if it's not confrontation, that may be just where that person is has landed, and they're kind of operating out of this familiarity, and you take it as spiritual. You say, "Oh, this person is on a spiritual path too," or everybody in the church. I've been released to go to church, and now all the people in the church, they're all believing. I'm so excited. Why am I excited? But nobody else is. I'm believing strongly in this way, and everyone else must believe strongly as well. False. You must do the assignment and adorn it just as a new life. And as soon as you're advised to put on that baseball jersey, it's a new life. You're living it. You're going through the throes of it. You're there to discover whatever it is. Take it all in. Absorb it all. Don't hold back anything. The body is ego, but the feelings from your body are divine. And they are divine because they come from within. They come from within, perhaps through the reaction from what is outside of you, what you're seeing, or perhaps something coming into you, and your body is supposed to respond because something is crossing literally from the spirit into your physical body and into the world outside, a vibration. So I'm a carrier of a spiritual conduit system of things that come transit through me out into the world, and things that come into me from what I experience and how they affect my insides. My insides, things that I do not decipher, things I do not understand. But it lands where it lands. It's meant to be because that is a divine appointment that was made through my body. I'm an initiate. I'm just like a sponge. A sponge can absorb, but a sponge can be wrung out to complete bone dry. So there's nothing in it. So you're going through this process and it will continue because you're continuously absorbing, continuously receiving, continuously being instructed, seeking instruction, seeking advice, seeking to understand. It's not going to stop. And that's what makes it so beautiful and rich because there's no end to it in sight as an initiate. And it all came because you decided to love everybody and to not ever have any fear or hate about anything. The ritual applies to the external and external realms. So in Psychic Underlord, the way that we're working to be able to manifest physical things in reality is that we're working not only with the physical on the outside as far as what we can see, but we're working on the inside and how things are encoded. It's code as far as things, what they actually mean. What you perceive in the physical may have manifested through something inside of you that looks totally different, but the way it came through you or called something to you is actually what it really is. So if for $2,000 in your hand on the outside, it's going to be something completely different on the inside. So we're not just building blocks based upon ratios and probability and getting you around a source of money. That doesn't make any sense. because you could be sitting there working in a bank for 30 years and still be flat broke and still receive just enough money for you to continue to work. It doesn't mean that these things yield their contents to us, but by the power of the divining ritual and the organizing of reality, these things come true. And that's where you will find them on psychicunderlord.com. You're initiated by a higher power. This higher power, I've heard the ridiculousness. And see, this is also uninitiated folks. There are a lot of ideas. Be careful who you listen to. It is a higher power that is bringing us into initiation and into ascension, the vault of ascension, where there's all this stuff. There's all these different lives that people are living, all these different cross sections and intersections, and how the interplay of dark and light, and how all these things come through a knowledge base of what we receive through our initiation process. It's not you. It's not. Because guess what? I confronted that many times. I'm thinking that it's me, but it's not. It is the higher power that is within me. Ascending into self deification leads to ego. When people will say, I want to ascend and become the goddess, that is dissension. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's not, because it makes sense for people to have such a beautiful feeling and feel that if they could only make it so that they could use their body to do it, it would be right. But that is actually wrong. That's ego. So we don't deify people. We don't deify. For you to, you can adorn an alter ego of another spirit or another spirit of history or any um, type of entity. That would not make you the entity. You're just adorning it because your body is merely a vessel for it. So that's not your ability or your power. That's self deification. And if and when you're going through this process of trying to be something that you're not, you're going to go through another confrontation because the entities and spirits want to know, who do you really think you are? That is the powerful testing of the spirit realm where there are no rules, where there's no concept of making it easy on someone. You have to know what you're doing. And you have to be careful of that. And all of this goddess cult and this witchcraft, these people are stuck and they'll never be able to ascend and they'll never be able, they're only going to suffer. That's what the long game is, that they will ultimately suffer. The short game is that they're already suffering in secret, but they're living an illusion and they don't know what to believe. So that they're stuck in ego. And 9 times out of 10, they want to stay in the ego because they feel like it might affect their money. Controlled opposition finds self deified people and questions them and says, you know, you you'd make a beautiful goddess, wouldn't you? Why don't I give you X amount of dollars and you come over here to this place and become a real goddess? So this is the part. See, the spirit realm has to bust your balls when people are doubling down on trying to hold on to this thing. Destruction without any type of deals being made in the spirit, any type of favor being given. See, all this stuff, the way that people protect themselves is they have to align the darkness and the light. And it happens naturally. But when you specifically start to avoid these things that come into your life and say, no, I'm not gonna help them out. No, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. So all these things, the helping and the giving is how people receive. And when they think that they can simply receive and not be able to be beholden to this thing, that's when the control opposition sets about massive amounts of trickery, illusion, and self destruction that is custom designed for you because you're so disobedient. So you may need multiple dips into the pool to fix your internal confusions. That's when people, I gave you some good hints as far as like if you accept everything and just go through it all and embrace it all and stop asking why, and then also say, oh, this is what it's meant to be for me. That's hard for a lot of people. But what's going to take is if you reject that and you say, oh, my my uncle, I'll kind of lean on him because of X, Y, Z, do. But then you've been told, don't use, don't use him, don't involve him. But you do it, or they jump out there and say, oh, hey, oh, I'll help you. Any people never helped you in your whole life. I'll help you. And now you got this person. They're sewing their situation in through you, and it's already wrong. And now you agree. So you're gonna have to take another dip, and the controlled opposition and destiny control matrix is gonna dip you right underwater again to the point of drowning, bring you back up, okay, and save your life. And that's to get rid of that internal confusion. I don't want to be double dipped, triple dipped. I don't. So what you discover is after when you understand what being dipped is like, you'll never want to go back to it again because you realize how much time you wasted, this so-called time on your so-called journey to your so-called direction that you think that you're going to be in because you love it so much or because you think it's so great and you think you'll be allowed to do it. It's no guarantee for that. But keep trying. You may have to get dipped just because it hurts you so much for you to let go. And I know that 100% that's true. When it hurts so much for you to let go, you might have to be double and triple dipped through the process just so that you will release your hand from whatever you're supposed to let go. Place no timing on the process. Just allow the process to continue as far as it goes. You will transition, and when you get the transitions, you're notified. I'm notified in my mind. I can actually hear it. I can hear it when uh, a certain cycle or certain routine has ended or has been done and is complete. And then I stand in the spirit realm, somewhere in the spirit realm, and I'm being rewarded for completing that particular part of the journey. You can hear it. You can hear it. So once you're an initiate, you're always going to be an initiate. Don't worry about when am I going to get my $1 million? When am I going to become famous? Because I'm destined to be famous, and all these things. Everybody's so great. I'm destined to be a director because I have the education. I have all the years of experience. It's just a natural transition for me to be one of the ones working here because I need a big job. Big money is. I'm an initiate, so it makes sense for me to make more. A lot of things you're not going to understand, and you're going to have to allow work towards your goal slowly, allow yourself to go through the process, receive it all, and don't worry about having the provisions will be put in place the way they're supposed to be put in place. Don't You can go ahead and cry or whatever that you're feeling, but don't doubt that what you're going through is absolutely essential. So I look forward to talking to you guys on psychicunderlord.com, my Etsy page, and on psychicunderlord.net, which is our YouTube. Have a wonderful day.